What is up, guys? Tyler here. Today I'm going to be doing a deck profile on the Gravekeepers for Yugioh TCG. The Gravekeepers is basically a set of spellcasters that block your opponent from doing anything within the graveyard or special summoning. So let's get right into it. Now to start off this, I run one Gravekeeper Visionary. Basically what Gravekeeper Visionary does, for every Gravekeeper that's in your graveyard, you actually get plus 200 attack power. So basically that's what this card does. What else it does is you can normal summon this by attributing one Gravekeeper. So if you have like Gravekeeper Heretics, you can actually tribute him and normal summon him onto the field. Next up is Gravekeeper Heretic. Basically what this does is this card's on the field is unaffected by any card effects as long as Necrovalley's on the field. So meaning traps don't affect it, spells don't affect it, or monster effects don't affect it. Next up is two Gravekeepers Descendants. Basically what Gravekeeper Descendant does is if you have another Gravekeeper on your field, you can discard it to destroy one card of your opponent. So if you have, like, let's say you have Gravekeeper Descendant and Gravekeeper Visionary. You can use this effect by getting rid of him to destroy a card that your opponent has, like a field spell or a monster that you just can't destroy. Next up is Gravekeeper Assailant. We only use one copy of this. When this card attacks, you can change the position of a monster your opponent controls. So if it's this one, if it's Gravekeeper Headsman and it's in defense position, Assailant can attack and it will switch it to attack mode. So your opponent will be taking 1,000 points of damage. Now going into Gravekeeper's Headsman. If this card is summoned, you can target one level 4 Gravekeeper monster from your graveyard. So if you had Descendant on your field and you destroyed Assailant, you could play this and then get Assailant back to make your 3-card combo. Next up is Gravekeeper Shaman. Basically what this does is it's the same thing as Visionary. Its only difference is it's for defense. So every Gravekeeper on your graveyard, you get plus 200 defense. So you'd most likely want to have both of these on the field so you can get strong attack and a strong defense. Next up is 3 Gravekeeper Spies. Now this is a flip effect monster. Basically, when this monster is flip summoned, you get to search your deck for one Gravekeeper monster with 15 or less attack points. So that's pretty good. Next up is 3 Gravekeeper Commandants. What Gravekeeper Commandant does is if you have this in your hand, you can tribute this to get Necrovalley, a field spell card, into your hand. Necrovalley is a key point in this deck. Without Necrovalley, this deck would not work. And that's it for monsters. Some other monsters that you might use is Winged Dragon Ra and Ring Dragon Ra Spear Mode. I use those within those deck. I've just been testing it without it. But next up is spells. I have one Gravekeeper Throne. Basically what this does is adds one Gravekeeper monster from your deck into your hand, And so yeah. And you can only choose one of these. Activate one of these effects. Add one Gravekeeper monster from your deck to your hand. Immediately after this effect is resolved, normal summon the Gravekeeper monster. You can only activate this once per turn. Next up, I have Royal Tribute. What Royal Tribute does is it makes you and your opponent discard all the monsters within your hand. So basically, if you have Gravekeeper, Shaman, and Visionary, you can use this to get rid of extra Gravekeeper monsters within your hand, so you can bump up these guys and get rid of some monsters that your opponent has. Next up is Mystical Space Typhoon. Pretty self-explanatory. Destroy one or spell trap card. Next up is 2 Allure of Darkness. This is kind of like a gambling card. Basically what this does, it allows you to draw 2 cards from your deck, but if you do not have a dark monster to tribute for this, you'll have to discard every card in your hand plus the 2 cards that you drew. Next up is Terraforming. Pretty self-explanatory. Get 1 field spell card from your deck, so if you don't want to sacrifice your Gravekeeper, you can just play this. Then I run 3 Pots of Duality. this lets you take the top 3 cards of your deck and reveal them to your opponent. Then you pick 1 card, add it to your hand, and then shuffle the rest of your cards into your deck. Then I run 1 Day of Peace. Basically what this does is you and your opponent both draw 1 card, and neither of you guys take battle damage for both your turns. Then I run 2 Mirror Shields. This is pretty helpful within this deck because you don't have much power, but basically what this does is you equip this onto a monster of yours, and then when it battles your opponent's monster, it'll take that attack and give it plus 100. So if I'm battling a Gravekeeper Visionary and I have Gravekeeper here, I can equip this onto him, and he'll have Visionary's power plus 100, so I'll always be 1 step ahead. Next up for the main part of the deck is I run 3 Necro Valleys. This is the main part of your deck. It gives all your Gravekeeper monsters plus 500, and you and your opponent cannot do anything with the graveyard, so it blocks him from doing anything in the graveyard. You always want to have this on your field zone. But yeah. To counteract that Gravekeeper seal for the graveyard, you run 3 Gravekeeper steals. This allows you to take 2 Gravekeeper monsters from your graveyard and add them to your hand, and this is not affected by Necro Valley. Then I run 1 Book of Moon. Basically what it does is you target one of your opponent's attack position face-up monsters and switch them to face-down defense position. Then I run 1 Wonder Wand. You equip this onto a spellcaster, and that spellcaster gets plus 500. Let me see if I can focus. And then you can actually discard this and the monster equipped to this to draw 2 cards. And for the final part of this is Hidden Temple of Necro Valley. Basically what this does is it stops you and your opponent from special summoning monsters, except for Gravekeeper monsters. But in order for this to work, you need to have both a Gravekeeper monster and Necro Valley on the field. If you don't have one of those, then you have to discard this card. Now onto the traps. I run 1 Dark Renewal. Basically what this allows you to do is revive 1 spellcaster monster. 1 Imperial Tombs of Necro Valley. 1 Rite of Spirit. 1 Judgment of Anubis. See if I can get that to focus. And 3 Mirror Force, which is pretty self-explanatory. If your opponent attacks you, you can activate this and destroy all their attack position monsters, which is pretty good, especially when you're trying to clear the field of their monsters. And that is it for the deck profile. There's no extra. I do not use an extra deck, but if you want to, you can always run an extra deck of level 4 Xyz monsters. Other than that, thanks for watching.